Hello and welcome back to Microsoft's Flight Simulator. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and today we are going to be taking a look at least part 1 of 2 at this particular aircraft here. This is the P-40B Tomahawk by Big Radials, and I'll leave a link to their website in the description box below. This is an aircraft that is available for 35 Australian dollars, which works out to be about £19, or I'm assuming £19, so that's probably about 15 or so US dollars, maybe something along those. Sorry, not 15 US dollars, 25 US dollars. So I think it's about that kind of price. You can always do the conversions, but on their website it is 35 Australian dollars. Now, this aircraft is an interesting one for me because it is the first of this era of aircraft that I've seen for Microsoft's Flight Simulator. I have flown a tail dragger like this before. It was the Kitty Hawk that I flew at some point, and that was some years ago in a completely different sim. I remember not being very good at it. I always had problems with these tail draggers, though I've flown a Cub and a Spitfire as well. I'm not very good at these kind of tail dragger aircraft. It isn't my style. I've done very few hours with this, so unlike many other aircraft where I have dozens, hundreds, sometimes even thousands of hours in those aircraft, but in this we're counting tens of hours in an aircraft like this. Anyway, in this part, I'm going to be just taking a look, as I always do, at the modelling, the texturing, talk a little bit about the aircraft, have a look at what the aircraft, what is offered with this aircraft. Also have a look inside, get familiarised with the flight deck, or in this case, get familiarised with the cockpit. We may end up starting this aircraft up, I'm not entirely sure, but in the next video is where we will be doing all the testing. So we'll be looking at a taxi takeoff, see what it's like to fly around, get a good feel for the physics, and then bring it in for landing. So make sure you stay tuned for this 2-part review, and let's see what this offers. Well, first off, one of the first things that I do want to point out is that given the price of this aircraft, it's about £19, as I said, I'm not expecting a phenomenal amount of quality, and I know the price doesn't necessarily reflect the quality of the aircraft, but there is something to be said about price in aircraft, particularly on physics. Whilst it may not represent the quality necessarily on the actual visuals and the modelling and things like that, it's generally the physics and where things tend to suffer a little bit. So that is what I am expecting, but starting off on a really good note. So let me read this aircraft description from the website. It says, the P-40 was one of the critical aircraft during the early days of World War II. Developed in America and used by Russian, Australian, English and American pilots in all 3 of the theatres of war. I'm so incredibly proud of the team and the hard work and the long hours. So they have put a lot of effort into this. We really hope you have fun flying our plane, and we look forward to bringing you many more in the future. Sorry, this is quite far away. Thank you for going through the wing of the plane. This is quite far away. I'm sort of having to squint to read this tiny writing. Features: a full native flights model, 3D asset sounds, 4K textures, PBR, everything. Well, I can tell you now already, well, we do have a nice 3D model here. We do have the texturing. I've just noticed some slight odd flickering over there. Let's just see that with the glass, but it seems to come and go depending on the angle. I think it's a very specific angle that you look at and things start to flicker, but that's okay. As long as it isn't like that inside, we should be completely fine. So yeah, I think in terms of looks, this looks really nice. The 4K textures on this, now we've got 5 historic 4K liveries, and then they've got let's see. No, it says 5 historic 4K liveries. I think they've also got a plain livery as well for this, just silver. I must admit, I really like the texture mapping on this. Just that it just looks like it's been used, it's been battered a little bit. The aircraft, it's not clean. The propeller is not clean. And interestingly enough, that is something that Just Flight tend to do a lot. They tend to have very clean propellers and very sort of dirty, worn interiors. I would kind of like it the opposite way around. This is really how you do a propeller. I do like the worn look of the aircraft and the slight camo over there. You can just see the camo. I believe this is Royal Australian Air Force, hence you have the RAF roundel, but this is the RAAF, essentially the same thing. All stems from the same sort of thing, same structure, same style of training, everything. So in terms of exterior, this is looking really nice. Again, just that slight problem with the glass. I've not noticed any other issues anywhere else. Let's see if I can just get in a little bit closer to see normal mapping. And there you can very nicely see the mapping as the light's hitting that. Always important to have that. One of the interesting things I've noticed here is some of the panels look bent out of shape, and that's pretty cool. Obviously you can see right through them, so maybe they need to work on maybe just blocking that off. Just put like a black, maybe just a black tube or something in there to prevent that. But I like the fact that this aircraft looks old. It looks battered, and that is quite well done. Looks like we have a V12 engine here. We have a V12 engine here. I wonder if it's the Merlin engines. I have no idea actually. I'm going to have to find out. When I start the engine I should recognise it. It's certainly when I start the engine. But otherwise, really well done on the texturing, really well done on the modelling. You can just see how close you can get to this. They've really put in a lot of effort. Now I am right up against this, and it looks really good. In fact, I'd say at that distance, which is what, a few centimeters, it really looks good. I didn't mean to press 5, but fine. It's every time I press 5 I mess up something. There we go. It seems to have reset the speed and everything. Okay, well, let me just look at getting an image here for my thumbnail. Like a little bit more zoom there, please. And once I can get an image for my thumbnail, that would be... Oh, that looks really nice in that fashion. So just need to... Thank you for getting in the way. Now, focus on the right thing. Thank you. That's going to be the thumbnail. I do think that this looks really quite good. Curtis is really busy for some reason. I'm fairly sure it isn't supposed to be quite this busy. In fact, no, do not press that. That could potentially be another thumbnail. Just a bit closer on this. Excuse me, would you terribly mind moving out the way? I'd really prefer not to have someone there with a high-vis jacket. Excuse me, yep, you over there, thank you. Could you perhaps go out of shot? Yep, just go walk through the wing again. No, you're not walking through the wing. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Alright, you can come back now if you want to. I really do not mind anymore. Right, let's go inside and take a look inside this aircraft. So, quite, again, really nice detailing. Everything's very high quality. You can see the effort that has been put in here to also give it a feel of being used. Metal back on this really would be uncomfortable. Nice cushion, fabric cushion seat. Yeah, this is very nice. And a bit of leather here, I'm guessing, to push your head against. They've really taken their time and put a lot of effort into the design of this aircraft. I really don't know. Maybe I'm going to be surprised with the physics as well, because I am surprised with the modeling and texturing. It is nothing short of superb. Honestly, this is nothing short of superb. Now, I'm not entirely familiar with everything here. Obviously, I know the main controls. But I'm going to pull up the manual and we will be looking through the manual and seeing what we have. So now it's time to actually, as I said, pull up the manual and see what we have currently available to us. So there is a quick start guide. One of the top things that they recommend, this is mandatory, check your CG, that's your center of gravity. You need to make sure that the center of gravity is at 26.9 plus minus 1%. Failure to do so may result in an uncontrollable plane. This needs to be checked every single time, and this is because the empty CG value can be changed by the user, and every time you load the plane it is reset, so you want to make sure you check that. Now, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. There are two ways of doing this. So if we click here, this in real life, this is machine gun territory, but over here we've got some nice switches here. One switch is for the stick, show and hide the stick. This is so well done again. We've got landing tips right here, so it gives you what we need to do. We have takeoff tips, come up there. Have you checked your CG? 2 units right rudder trim, 3 units up elevator trim, 45 MP. I'm assuming that's, I don't know what 45. Oh, that's probably manifold pressure. 45 manifold pressure, 3000 RPM. Backstick on initial roll, compensate torque with right rudder. This is all really fancy, and I love the idea of it looking handwritten. That is really, really well done. I like that. And then we've got these. This one doesn't work. This one doesn't do anything. As you can see, there's no sticker on it or stamp on it. This one here, RTDM flaps, RTDM gears. RTDM stands for Read the Darn Manual. That is what it stands for, because you can switch between easy mode and realistic mode on this aircraft. So naturally, I'm going to go for realistic mode, and I know for a fact that this is going to go wrong, but I would like to see how easy it is to manage this, particularly if you only have, as I do, keyboard controls, a flight controller, and a joystick and a throttle quadrant, not even a throttle quadrant, just a throttle controller, not flying in VR, nothing like that, no fancy additional button boxes or anything of the sort. So we're looking at just bog standard really for flight simulation, and that is how I want to see how this aircraft actually manages. Taking a look at the panel layout, we've got let's see, we've got the magnetos there. That's great. That looks like our flaps there. Those look like landing gear indications. That looks like flap indications. Fuel tank, of course, an ammeter. That looks like suction for our gyro suction. That's a clock. Normally you see a clock maybe in a corner somewhere. That's an interesting place that they decided to put one of these. We have our speedometer in miles per hour, so not knots, miles per hour. That is one compass. We have another compass down there. We have a turn coordinator here, which looks slightly different to what I'm used to. Our standard attitude indicator, extremely important, hence why it's so large. We have our VSI, vertical speed indicator, manifold pressure indicator right here, prop speed RPM, that's right there. We have hydraulic pressure there, and what are these? Coolant temperature. That I think might be carburetor temperature. Yeah, I think that might actually be carburetor temperature. And then this one here, so we've got fuel. What's that? Fuel pressure? I'm just taking a look here now. Looks like fuel pressure, oil pressure, and then I'm assuming that's then going to be oil temperature. So there we go. That is what we have on this. Now we've got, can we pull these? Yes, we can. Carburetor cold and then full heat. Let's open up the canopy. That was very nice. Very nice. Right, let's take a look. Oh, do not do that. Let's take a look on the port side here. We've got our throttle. So, yep, that works. A little bit laggy. That's okay. You can see the movements along there as well. That's really nice. Very nice. We've got the propeller again. They've taken the effort to actually move these here. Right. For the most part, if you did that, you wouldn't notice that movement, but they've taken that into account. And the mixture one, which is really easy to move. I find it strange that the propeller and throttle have a delay. This is Microsoft Flight Simulator, by the way, not this particular aircraft. And yet the mixture, no delay. I like the noises as well. That's nice. It isn't the same noise all the time, which is quite nice. What else do we have? We have something here that says safe mode. Show hide gun sight in this. So that's that. Awesome. Oh, I like seeing that. So obviously for in the real aircraft, I'm assuming that was for activating the weapons, not for actually showing or hiding the gun sight. Down here we have the fuel tank selector. So we have front wing, rear wing, fuselage, and off. Great. I see a parking brake over here. That's standard parking brake there. Cockpit heater there, which is the windshield de-ice in this case. What else do we see? We have all these buttons down here. These look like circuit breakers. Can I just... none of the numbers work to move around to different places. So it's a little bit difficult to get to, unfortunately. But these look like they are all the switch box and circuit breakers underneath. Yep, circuit breakers down there, and then we have a switch box. I really hope there's a way for us to move around. That's rudder trim and elevator trim. That's absolutely fine. Then we have landing gear and flaps. Now this is the one that is going to be really, really interesting as to how this works, because I believe that the actual way of doing this is that you have to move it into the right positions and then use a specific pump or something to get this running, and then you switch off the pump and then move this back to neutral. It is going to be interesting once I get around to flying it. So far I am impressed. Another fuel gauge there. That's a little bit interesting. On the starboard side, well, we've already found the canopy lever, so we certainly know about that. We found carburetor heat down here. What's this? An engine primer, right? So, yep. You'll have to probably pull that 3 times like I already have. This is the original radio, which is, I've been told, deactivated. So this does not work. So that is a shame. These are for cowl flaps. Great. Oh, look at that. Closed, high speed, combat climb, ground cooling. That's awesome. And then we have a map lamp here. Can I switch it on or off? Is there... There we go. That's how you switch it on or off. Lovely. That looks like everything there. Okay, so that's a good start here. Now, I guess I have some time. So what I'm going to do is I am going to see if I can get this aircraft started up. We're not going to take off for a flight today, as I've just been speaking about the aircraft and what we have. It's very impressive in terms of modeling and texturing. This is some of the finest modeling and texturing I've ever seen in any sim. It really is. I'm curious as to how the physics are going to hold up here. I really am. So what I need to do is, before we do that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about this, how to operate the flaps and gears. So I've got the manual section up here. So you've got the standard ones, as I said, with the normal mode on, where it will go into a fixed configuration notch, 0 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees for the flaps. However, the way it was in real life is different. What it does is it works on a hydraulic pump. So I'm going to have to look for this hydraulic pump. I am. And what you need to do is, so for the flaps, you place the flaps in. Is that right? So you place the flaps in the up or down position. So I don't know which position's which. We'd have to figure that one out. So you place it in the up or down position, like so. You would then press and hold the hydraulic pump button, which is on top of the flight stick. There we go. Okay. So this here is a hydraulic pump button. Oh, this is going to be very interesting when flying. So I'm going to have to be flying an aircraft, doing that, and then also watching that. This is going to be very interesting. And then once you've done that, you have to bring it back to neutral once you've got it to the right place. Landing gear, exactly the same, but you use this. So that's right. So that's neutral, that's down, that's up. Okay, and again, you have to make sure you put it back to neutral. Now, it takes. Oh, here's a remark here. The P-40B does not have a locking mechanism. It is held in place by hydraulic pressure. So, check your gear before taxi, takeoff and landing. The flaps travel through their range in less than 2 seconds. Gear operation takes about 20 seconds. Make sure to stop in time for the flaps and leave ample time for the gear. Okay. This is, so far, impressive. Right, let me just make sure my controls are okay. I've noticed for some reason on my stick, moving to the left just seems to always be far easier than moving to the right now. I guess the controls are getting a little bit old. Throttles and stuff I've checked, so it looks like this is all fine, and yeah, my rudders are working. Don't know what that one was. Don't know what that button's doing to do that. Right, so that's parking brake. It's parking brake off. Standard brakes. Standard brakes off. Okay, great. So at least I have those basics set up. Let's see if I can start the aircraft, and let's have a listen as well to the engine. We obviously want to hear the engine. So I'm going to pull up the aircraft checklist here. Flap lever neutral, right. First thing to always check. Flaps neutral, check. Gear neutral, check. Trim tabs. Elevator up 3 units. Check. Wait, which one's the? Yep, that's the elevator. Up 3 units. Okay. Throttle 1/4 inch open. Alrighty. There we go. Mixture idle cutoff, check. Propeller full forward. There we go. Fuel selector goes around to fuselage. Parking brake has been set. Carburetor heat is on cold. Is it supposed to be cold? Carburetor heat control, cold. That's not it, that's cowl flaps. This is carburetor heat control. Yep, that's cold. So in is hot. That is cold. There we go. Cowl flaps, ground cooling. I knew I had to do something there. There we go. Battery switch on. So these are these switches down here now. This is going to be a little bit harder to see. But battery switch on, generator on. I cannot hear the battery. Recognition lights on. So which one are the... There we go. I need to see what these recognition lights look like outside. Where are they? I see no recognition lights. I changed time of day maybe? No, I genuinely cannot see any additional lights. It must have done something. Must have. Let's go back inside anyway. Right. Back indoors. Navigation lights on now. I definitely know what that's going to do. There we go. Navigation lights on. And they do look rather lovely. One thing to note is that the light is shining directly across, so it looks like the light does not cast onto the wing, onto the fuselage, and instead goes straight through, passes straight through onto the opposite wing, because as you can see, I should not be seeing the green lights right there. And similarly, I guess I'm going to end up seeing the red lights on this side. We would much rather have it up on here, so there we go. But still, it's nice. It is certainly nice. Right, I am going to make a hash of this, by the way. Electric fuel boost pump on, so that's that one. That sounds good. Ignition switch goes to both. Where's the ignition switch? That's wing lights, recognition lights, pitot heat, starter, ignition switch. That must be this. Yep, that's that. So the magnetos. Right. Engine primer. 3 strokes for cold. 1, 2, 3. I know we've done this before, but it's fine. Starter. Hold energize. For about 5 seconds. Okay. Engage. Come on. This is going to be interesting to start up. There it goes. Okay, that didn't take me too long to start up. Not too bad for a first start. That's pretty awesome. Okay, engine start, advanced mixture control, auto rich. We've brought it up to, so it needs to be at auto rich. There we go. Great. After startup, establish 800 to 1000 RPM. So we'll go ahead and do that. I need a little bit more than that. There we go. We'll sit it around there. And now what we've got to wait for is, and I know I'm just going through this even though I'm not going to fly the aircraft, but on oil pressure, 60 to 70 psi, so we're looking for that oil pressure, which looks like it is between 60 and 70 psi. Yep. So we advance to 1100 RPM. And you can see the manifold pressure going up as I'm giving it a little bit more throttle. On icing, carburetor heat control, hot while we are not icing. Oil pressure should be sitting between 55 and 70 psi, 85 psi max. Check. Oil temperature, 60 to 80 degrees. We have not got there yet, so we're still waiting for the oil to heat up. You can see it heating up. The sounds are quite nice. I do like the sounds. Just trying to... It does sound like, what do you call this game? Well, it's certainly a V12, but I'm not entirely sure what engine this is. Obviously, it sounds like a bit like a Merlin engine, but I'm not entirely sure this is a Merlin engine on it. It might be though. It really might be. Anyway, continuing on with this, we'll just see what we've got. You can see that, yep, the temperatures have come up nicely. So it's not, everything isn't sudden. Let's try the flaps out right now. So what we need to do is we need to set this. I think that's flaps down. And I think that might have been flaps up. Okay. That might be flaps down. Yep, that was flaps down. You can see it move. And looking outside, do you see the flaps move? Let's go full flaps. Let's see what they look like. Ah, can I not see the flaps from here? No, they're underneath the aircraft. Okay, that's fine. I thought maybe these would move a little. Okay, cool. And then obviously we have to put this back, but for now I'm going to bring the flaps up because we really do not need them at full. That's like flaps 45, we'd rather have something like that much. I could get used to this. I could certainly get used to doing something like that. That's a nice realistic way of doing these things. So we're good with everything else. We should probably switch the fuel pump off now. Switch on the wing lights. Let's take a look at all the various lights. Avionics can go on. It says horn on. I'm sure it says horn. I have no idea what that means there. Floodlight on. Let's try this table light as well. Oh, that's nice. Let's change the time of day so that we can appreciate the lighting. That's important as well. And yep, that's something that can definitely be appreciated. That's really quite nice, actually. The lighting in this aircraft is very nicely done. It does look good. That does look really quite well done. Okay, so far I'm impressed. So far I definitely am impressed with this aircraft, but to find out what it is like when we get in the air, you're going to have to wait for the next video. So thank you very much for watching. I'll do that. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and of course part 2 of my review of this aircraft. Thus far I'm really pleased with the lighting, with the modelling, with the texturing. They've done a really good job there, and I like this, that they've kept this realistic instead of just, you know, saying you can use the just standard flaps, but I like the fact that they give you the option. So if you're not used to flight simulation, then you've got that option, and that is really good. Little bugs here and there, you know, for example, and bugs point out there again is that the lighting shining off on that's a little bit different. So, you know, there are little bits and bobs here and there, but overall, for the price, it definitely is very well done. So as I said, in the next video we're going to take this taxi, take off, fly it around a bit, bring it to a landing, and that will be a real test of the physics of this aircraft, and then I'll be able to give you my final thoughts. But thus far, quite happy with it. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ecgadget. Your support would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. And also you can find me on social media at ecgadgetlp for both Twitter and Instagram. Apparently flaps are supposed to be up for a takeoff, so there we go. That is all from me, and I will see you next time in Microsoft Flight Simulator, where I will be taking this aircraft out and seeing what the physics are like and giving you my final thoughts. I'll see you then.